Check 1, 2. Okay, call you back a couple minutes. All right.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Would you be my neighbor? Only if you know how to act. That's it. Finally, they are. Is that my phone?
Nope, that's me this time.
Okay. Finally, some work happening at a house next door to me that's been abandoned for 4 years. I just want to know why they had to start it at 4 in the morning.
Oh, they can't do that.
Well, they were inside,
Oh,
but it's close enough that I kept hearing boom. You can bring it in.
yeah.
You kept hearing boom, boom, boom. And I don't know. I thought I might have had a bat in the belfry or something, but must have been putting up drywall or something. Yeah, they can't. Because I don't think people know there's a noise ordinance, whether people keep it or not, but in the house. Been abandoned 4 years. Go ahead and bump. I just hope he's not bumping this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I want a quiet weekend. Is that you again? Yep. Or is that me?
Coming from over there.
Let's see.
Yep, it got louder.
Okay. Oh, it must have been low. A lot to talk about today. I'm talking a little bit about how the government shutdown that is looming may affect you. Whether it's going to affect your trips, whether it's going to affect TSA. We'll look at some articles.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that and some other things that we got to talk about today. One of the big things that's breaking news, if you haven't heard, and I get frustrated sometimes with media because the important stuff, I just don't know why it's buried. That's why sometimes you just got to go to Google News. Because one of the oldest serving, if not the oldest
She's
serving.
the longest serving, I know.
Yeah, but the oldest, I'm talking about the age.
She might
Dianne Feinstein, longest serving female, but it doesn't say whether she was oldest. Female U.S. Senator in history dies at 90. Now, let me just say this. I know that everything has a season. She outlasted all the seasons. And at 90 was still going into work, probably more than some of the other folks who are elected there, in a wheelchair, and refused to step down. And honestly, she didn't have to step down because people choose their leader.
Yep.
And if they chose her at whenever her last election was, she was 80s.
Yeah, it would have been in her 80s because she was up next year.
Yeah, if they chose her, then that's what they chose. You don't get to choose. You don't get to, because you all think who are elected by your constituencies that she shouldn't be there. Now, if you didn't want her there, don't vote for her. Obviously, people wanted her there because they voted for her. And she was there until 90 years old. And if you look at her career, just a outstanding, wonderful career, I don't think there'll be many more people who make it to 90 years old.
No, and
Not in elected office.
I agree, and I do think that once this kind of starts to phase out, the McConnells, even the Schumers, the Feinsteins, and there's a few others, upper 80s, 90s, I think people are, because you can't talk about presidential terms and term limits on local levels, but then keep electing our great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers to office.
So I going to talk to Ken Young in a minute, Kenneth Young. So let somebody know, in a few minutes, I'm going to be talking to Kenneth Young, who is running for Cheektowaga Town Council, African-American male. We're going to talk about that from that point of one of the points about being African-American male and the fact that there has never been an elected official in Cheektowaga of color. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So let somebody know, especially if you live in Cheektowaga or you know somebody live in Cheektowaga, let them know in the next 5 minutes. We're going to be talking to him and his platform. So I am so torn on term limits. I used to be of the feeling you serve a few terms and you're out. And I think it was the majority leader one time who was like, there is this institutional knowledge, and if people want you out, that's your term limit. When people say you're done. So I agree the president should have term limits. I guess, yeah. But I don't know. What do you all out there think about it? What do you think, Jen and Marie and all of you who are on social media? I don't know. I'm torn.
I am torn in the argument because, like you said, I do feel that sometimes depending on how long, the first term, you're just still introducing yourself. You're still trying to get,
and you're still learning.
Yeah, you're still learning. You're still trying to get a base. You're still trying to get things done. The second term, okay, you got a little bit more movement. I feel it should be 3 to 4. Should be the limit. Now, of course, if you're in the Senate, that's 24 years.
Exactly. So it's still.
But I think if you couldn't accomplish anything in 24 years, you should be done anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't have a a great. I don't know. I'm torn because I do think like let's take for instance the state of New York. It took Crystal Peoples-Stokes years
Yeah.
For us to get the majority leader spot.
Yep.
Now, if there were term limits, somebody's got to get the majority
Yeah.
leader spot. But is that spot, then does that person really know what they're doing? Can they bring home the bacon like she has, basically?
Yeah. Well, and I think the
know.
tough thing with the assembly or even the county ledge when it's every 2 years, like you,
Oof.
you're just running. You're literally, you're only really legislating for 6 months out of a 2-year term.
That's hard. That's really, really, really hard. And I wouldn't want to run every 2 years, especially on the county legislature. That's a lot of work.
That's a lot.
Local politics to me are harder than state and federal politics. As far as races and all that kind of stuff, locally you got to beat you got to beat these doors. You got to, and this is what people don't understand about the difference between a local elected, state elected, and a federal elected. Local electeds, especially like in the city of Buffalo, work every week.
Yep.
We get August.
Yes.
So every week you're
In
doing
August,
committees.
in August, they want you to hit every community event.
They want you to come to everything, right? So I want you all to really understand this. So here is, and I won't say the lowest level basically in government is basically your city or your town or whatever. And so here you are, you get a few weeks off. All of the summer events is like we need you here. But when you're on the state level, you really only in session for months.
6 months.
And it's
2 to 3 days a week.
2 to 3 days. I want you all to understand this when you say, "Oh, such and such be at such all the time, and such be at all." Well, they can because they're going to Albany for a couple of days for half a year, and some of them have to go back and forth.
Right.
But the point is, they don't have as many hours that they got to spend. And days, consecutive days. So they can come to this and they can come to that and they can hold babies. And then federal level, oh my gosh, a whole different animal.
I was going to say, most of your federal representatives, you don't know when they're in session. You don't know if they're in town. You don't know if they're in D.C.
We don't pay attention to the federal. We pay attention to the state, but not that daily.
Yeah.
Why isn't such and such there? Because the thought is, they must be in Albany.
Right.
They could be at home with their feet up, but they must be in Albany. The local guy who is like, he down the street. We need to ring his doorbell and all that kind of stuff. So I do. So I'm somewhat torn. We're gonna be talking about the government shutdown, but I want to just give a big shout out. I just met with a woman who is very involved with MVP, and they had recently, which I thought was very interesting, something called Bridging the Gap, and it was unity through community, and they brought like Muslim community, the Bengalis, just a whole lot of folks together, community groups, and talked about how we can work together instead of working in silos. And part of their flyer, and I told her to let me know, the next one I'll let people know, is we all live in the same city and we can get more accomplished together. And please join us. And they just had something on Tuesday, the 26th, over at Villa. Increase the quality of life in our communities, understand the need to work together, increase communication. Because I am seeing what I think personally, it is personal, and closer I get to retirement, you get to hear much more personal thoughts of mine, that we need to learn how to work together, because at the end of the day, this train ain't stopping, folks. It is not stopping. So either folks in our communities are going to have to learn to work together and learn to work together across in diverse ways.
Yes.
In diverse ways, period. I would say big ups to them.
Because I was going to say, as we talked about on the show, other communities are sticking together and coming strong. So, like you said, the train ain't stopping.
Listen, we can keep letting people help divide us, but you see where it has gotten us. And whether it's politically, because this political landscape is getting ready to change whether you like it or not.
Yes.
And it's a very organized effort for it to change, and it's a very legal effort for it to change. So we either figure it out and get ourselves together and let those who want to divide us become the anomaly, or let them be the loudest ones in the room. Let's see how far that takes us. Endorsed Democratic candidate Kenneth Young is with us, and for a disclaimer, because we are on air and there are regulations, I invite anybody who wants to be on this show who is running for public office. We do not endorse on this show. This show does not endorse. Our sponsors, if they decide to endorse, that is up to them. We will not endorse on the show. So any candidate out there, if you're running for Cheektowaga, if you're running for wherever, you are always invited to come. Usually people approach me, and if you want to come on the show, you can come on the show. We'll give you time. Kenneth Young, Cheektowaga Town Council. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, Pastor.
Bring that mic right up to you. And you are, according to your flyer, the endorsed Democratic candidate.
I am.
I got to get you some mic. I got to get you a little mic on, okay? And you've been endorsed by the Cheektowaga Democratic Party?
Cheektowaga Democratic Committee, yes.
So they have their own committee in Cheektowaga.
Yes, we have our own committee made up of people in town, and we had our vote back in January, and I was the first vote getter back in January.
Wow.
Okay, there were 4 candidates vying for the endorsement. I was the top vote getter, and then there were 2 others that got the remaining endorsement.
Impressive. So, so Cheektowaga, and just I think I know the facts, but I want to make sure. Has Cheektowaga ever had an African American elected official?
No, never.
Not to anything.
No. This is my second time running. I ran back in 2015. Okay. However, this time I got a little bit more juice because I do have some backing more so than I had before. So I didn't learn a lot back then because I didn't have anybody really training and teaching me, you know. But here I'm learning a lot about it, the process, and I think I got a good feel. I'm walking, I'm talking to people. I mean, Cheektowaga is a huge area. It's huge. It's 80,000 plus people in Cheektowaga, and the land base is just massive.
Yeah.
I can't cover the whole area, but what I'm trying to do is trying to stay in the area that I think that will most likely vote for me, which is the Northwest Quarter. Okay, that's where the majority of the minorities live. And I feel that if I can get those folks out, we can now become part of the process. We can have a seat at the table. Because right now we have no seat at the table. And I've been told that they don't care about our communities. Okay, I've been told that. Okay, I want to show them different. I want to show them that our community means something. We're here, we're paying taxes. We need representation. You know, we need to be heard.
So, and I know that, now I had a very good relationship. So let me give you a little history. I don't know if you know my history with Cheektowaga.
Okay.
Years ago, Pastor William Gillison was alive, and Rashid Wynine, Janice McKinnon had a group, and we actually protested the Galleria Mall. We actually protested at that time the Cheektowaga police because they were, and it really came from this show. At that time, we had our show next door in the subway, and people were calling to complain about the treatment of the perceived treatment of Cheektowaga police. And we asked people not to go to the Galleria Mall around Easter, Resurrection, and there was action. And then Zach comes along, who was very, very responsive, Chief Zach, and the current police commissioner has been very, very responsive when we have called with situations of what we feel are unjust, racially motivated. And I know now there is one black police officer, correct?
Correct.
In the whole town. You don't know how many police officers there are.
I believe it's upwards of 180. 180.
And only one. And I'll say this, and I'm not here to defend Cheektowaga. I don't live in Cheektowaga. But when people do try to do something right, I do think it's important for us to say it, that I know in recent years, they have come to the show to try to recruit. They have come to churches any place where they could find and reached out to people. So I know there are people in Cheektowaga. A lot of times, if you're in Cheektowaga, you already got a job.
Yep.
And a lot, and especially after the protests and all of that, a lot of young people are not interested in becoming police officers because Buffalo has had a hard time recruiting. Also, do you think that that's a step forward to at least have one?
I do. You have to start someplace.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a stepping stone, as well as what I'm doing is a stepping stone, because sometimes it takes a person. Someone else may want to do that, but they may not have the wherewithal or the ability to step out in front and do it. They see someone else doing it, then that brings to mind that they can do it also. So, and that's part of my platform here. I want to step out here. I want to get this done. I don't want to be there forever. I just want to get there, get this done, and hopefully bring somebody else up, of color that can take over the reins and continue this process.
Jen Woodard on social media is sending you a hi, Kenny Young. Charles Calvin says he sounds like me. At the end of the day, let's talk about the platform. Let's talk about what a Kenneth Young wants to bring to Cheektowaga Town Council.
Well, the town council, I want to bring inclusion, diversity, inclusion, because we have no seat at the table, as I said, and in order to have a seat at the table, you have to be represented, and I have to get voted in to get this done because I'm an activist. I've been in Cheektowaga for 27 years. Okay, I didn't just move there, and I've been an activist with what we call the Town Park Community Association. It's a taxpayer group, and on that taxpayer group, it's like a block club, but it encompasses a whole area of where I live, and we take care of issues that are part of our community that no one else is going to take care of. Because
give me examples. Let's go right into it. What you said you're activists, so what are those things you're trying to take care of?
Community issues. Say there's a tree that's overgrown. Sometimes you don't know who to call.
Okay.
You don't know how to get this tree cut. That's not your tree.
Okay.
It's a town tree.
Okay.
Okay. You can't just go and cut the tree. So there's a platform for that. There's a place to call.
Absolutely.
All right. So they come to our meetings. We get those things done. Your street may be messed up. You don't know who to call.
You guys have trouble with potholes?
Not so much.
Now, why do you think that?
I have no clue. I have no clue why. I mean,
What do you got a clue?
Because they have a highway supervisor that's elected. So,
No, he told me, that they have, but still, that doesn't stop potholes.
But I think
because you got an elected highway supervisor.
I think because you have someone specifically focusing on roads, that director of quality of life and infrastructure that still is open. And by the way, if you're looking for a job with the city, there's a position.
It's called potholes are. That's what I call it. Potholes
But
are.
I think because there is somebody with that direct focus, that's why.
Wow, but the thaw season, and
it's
I
all
get
the same. It's all the same. City, suburb. Why is Cheektowaga streets why do they look better than Buffalo streets?
I wonder that. I mean, I hear
in the
Mark's
wintertime.
opinion. I think if we are putting down the same blacktop, so like what's happening, what's
Same
going
salt,
on,
right?
Yeah. So one of you have been a community activist, but when you talk about a seat at the table, I really want to drill down. I really want people to hear why it's important, what you want to see done in Cheektowaga if you are elected.
I want us to be recognized, because again, no one's coming to our side of town. If I have an issue, because this seat that I'm seeking is an at-large seat, okay, we don't have someone that we can say, come over here and take care of this issue here. A lot of times the council people, they meet on Broadway.
Okay.
Right? And most of them live south of that Broadway. Okay. That's far as they come to the north area. Most of them don't come to our area. So
I didn't know that there was a predominantly area of color in Cheektowaga. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Where is that area at?
I want to say between it starts at William Street because they got those apartments there.
Okay.
All right, Williamstown, I think they call them. So William and Union, back down to Kensington and Harlem. Okay, is basically the minority area.
Oh,
Okay,
gotcha.
now you do have
When you
sprinkles.
put that mic like that, I can hear you breathe.
Oh.
It's like this. I kept hearing. You got a cold?
No,
Okay.
sorry. I'm getting ready to chime in, but
No, go ahead. You just got to turn it this way.
Yeah.
Straight. Yeah. What were you about to say?
So and I knew that because with my time with Senator Kennedy, that it was very a pocket.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, right in the first ring.
But is it enough in the, because obviously you can't just depend on that one area.
Right.
Is there enough open-mindedness to hear your platform for other people to say we're voting for Kenneth Young?
I do believe that. As I said, I've been knocking on doors. I've been talking to people. I've been talking to people of color. I've been talking to white people. You know, I've been talking to Muslims, Bangladeshis, and everybody's, specifically, saying that it's time for a change. It's time that this happen. So I believe that the attitude is that it can change and that it can happen, and they're ready for a change. Not everybody, though. However, there are other issues in Cheektowaga. Okay, so let me be clear. It's not that, because I've been also told that some Democrats are flipped. Okay, and they're now voting Republican.
Yes, they are.
And I'm asking, well, why are you doing that? And it's the Donald Trump effect, as far as I'm concerned. He came in the door. He's saying what they want to hear, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing for us, for all people. I just want to make sure that we don't get left out. All right, I feel like the west end of Cheektowaga is being slighted. We're not getting the resources. We're not getting. When I first moved there 27 years ago, there was street sweeping going on every week after garbage pickup. They would come along and they would make sure the roads are done. All right, okay, just stop doing that. They don't come around anymore. It's hard to get anything done, and I'm paying a good tax dollar. My taxes go to the coffer too, and I don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth.
What's the diversity like in Cheektowaga as far as the government employees?
I think you can count the minorities on one hand. All right, I think it may be 4 or 5, maybe.
And I think Cheektowaga has to get ready, because if you study civics, Cheektowaga is the first ring out of Buffalo. Many people are being displaced out of Buffalo. There's not a lot of housing stock available, decent housing stock in Buffalo.
Right.
They're coming to that first ring. That's just it.
That's basic. Yeah.
That is basic 101. They're coming to that first ring. And I think that what I'm hearing from you is it is important to have diversity on the Cheektowaga Town Board.
Right.
And never in the history of Cheektowaga have there been people of color who have run before?
Not that I know of. I'm the only one.
Are you
As far
serious?
as I know, I'm the only one. I've been a Democratic committee person for over 20 years. Like I said, I've been at Cheektowaga 27 years.
So in your 27 years, nobody of color has ever run that you know of?
No, we've been discouraged, and running, because I mentioned about 10 years ago about running, and I was told it's not my time. It's not your time. It's not your time.
Wow.
So so back in 2015, I was told it's not your time.
Yeah, Barack Obama was told that too. Katrina Martin Bordeaux says Northwest Cheektowaga. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Northwest.
You were told it's not your time, so now they say it is your time?
Well, the committee voted and said it is my time.
Okay.
And I didn't want to run this time. I'll be honest. I did not want to run. I was just, I'm done. Okay. I was asked by many, many folks to run.
Okay.
And not by my people, by white people. They see the need. They see that there's a need to have people of color on that board.
Yeah.
And also, let me say this: in the demographics here on the committee, we need minorities on the committee to further this thing, to make this thing work. we don't have any committee people of color. It's only probably 3 or 4 of us.
Now,
on the
why is
committee.
that? Why is that?
I was getting ready to
What?
say, I was getting ready to say, for people who don't know how the county committee seats work, those are the people that endorse
Absolutely.
your party candidates, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or conservative. So when those random people show up at your door during petition to
Yes.
try to get signatures to be your committee person, they're the ones controlling who the endorsed candidate is.
Absolutely. And is it because there's a lack of concern about it in communities of color in Cheektowaga?
I believe that's part of it. I mean, because even now, as I knock on doors, I ask people, do you want to be part of this? Do you want to help me out? And most people are like, well, no, that's not what I want to do, But we have to find someone to do it. We have to have younger people stepping up to this plate. I'm not young at all. I'm retired. I don't have to do this. I don't need the money. It's only $22,000 a year that this job pays. It's not about the money. It's all about doing the right thing for the community and getting this community back where it needs to be. Our community on my side of town, as far as I'm concerned, is going down. It's going down quick, okay?
Yeah.
Because if you go to South Cheektowaga, you can go out there and it's like beautiful. You ride down those streets, the curbs are nice, the streets are nice, the grass is cut. In our area, I have to fight every day, every week. There's an Airbnb across the street from me, okay? They put the garbage cans out on the front, and they leave them for 2-3 weeks. And I'm going to town hall. They got garbage cans out. Well, there's nothing we can do about it. What do you mean there's nothing we can do about it? They have nothing on the books to make these people
I would imagine it is.
get in line.
I would imagine, because even in Buffalo,
That's
it's
gotta
a
change.
window of time.
Yeah.
And if not, that's where your council should be making laws and rules, regulations, and ordinances.
Well, again, you take care where you live. They don't live in our neighborhoods, so they don't take care of our neighborhoods.
Well, I'm going to be running over. I want to give you a last word. I'm going to be sending it over to the station in about 2 minutes for commercials. Kenneth Young, Cheektowaga Town Council. You can go to his website page at KennethYoungForCheektowaga.com. That's Kenneth Young for Cheektowaga.com, and you can contact him through there. Any last words?
My last words are I really, really need as much help as I can get. Please go to my website and chime in, help me out. You can send donations to help me get people to do petitions. For lit drops, or you can come and volunteer. Just help me out. We need this. We need this now. We can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's Kenneth Young for Cheektowaga.com. Check them out. We're going back over to the station because we're going to pay the bills in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
When it comes to something as personal as your clothes, you need to deal with somebody you can trust. That's why so many people turn to Hobson's Dry Cleaning, conveniently located in the heart of the community at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming.
When you take your clothes to Hobson's, you can trust that they'll be ready on time.
You can trust that your whites will be white.
You can trust that you'll always get a fair price and service with a smile.
You can even trust that you won't have to get out of your car if you don't want to. Hobson's has a drive-through window for your convenience.
Trust is what it's all about at Hobson's Dry Cleaning.
Hobson's Dry Cleaning, your one-stop dry cleaners serving the community for over 30 years at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming. Call 891-8298. That's 891-8298.
Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home has 3 locations to serve you in Buffalo. 347 Peckham, 2258 Bailey Avenue, and Providence Memorial Chapel at 1275 Sycamore. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes offers traditional services, and they have services for all faiths. And at Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, they have air-conditioned parlors and chapels. Financing is available, as is limousine service. At those difficult moments in your life, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes is available where you are with counseling services. Call toll-free 877-885-7734. That's 877-885-7734. Or locally 845-5545. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes. We are here to serve you, here to serve this present age. Call today, toll-free 877-885-7734. Or email info at brianklewis.funeralhome.com.
All right, just again on disclaimer, anyone who is running is welcome to come on our show. I don't chase down candidates. If you want to come on, you just contact us and we'll get you on. And you can talk about your campaign. That's interesting that he's been there 27 years or however many and hasn't seen an African-American run in Cheektowaga.
I'm not surprised.
It's got to be a tough race.
I'm sure it is.
And then trying to get funding for signs and all that kind of stuff. And, I mean, that's tough.
I will say Cheektowaga is probably a good example of Erie County outside the city. It's even from Democrats, it's probably more purple, if you understand the political colors. It's probably more purple because your Democrats are very conservative, very conservative. So you always going to waffle with them on one issue or the other. So a lot of times they might go liberal on decisions, but a whole lot more they're going to lean more on the conservative Republican side.
Well, Cheektowaga should get ready because there's going to be a change because these folks looking for someplace to live.
Absolutely.
And yeah. What does a federal government shutdown mean and how you and your community be affected from USA Today? So for those of you who don't know, and I think even today, it seems like the vote is still shaky from what I was watching on some of the news. So here's how this article starts. Longer airport lines, hazardous drinking water, and shuttered national parks. The disruptions that come with shutdowns of the federal government have only become more familiar to Americans in recent years. And I'm doing this is because a lot of people think, it ain't going to affect me.
Yes, it will.
It is not going to affect me. I'm going to Miami next week. I ain't thinking about you. Well, you might be in a long line to go to Miami. Amid largely stalled negotiations on Capitol Hill, the Federal Office of Management and Budget has already begun the process of advising agencies which employees it may have to furlough ahead of a looming deadline, Saturday at midnight.
That's tonight, everyone.
Yes. Saturday at they can work through the night.
Yes, they can.
And they have. So I don't want to act as if they cannot get this done, but they have to do it tonight. The last time Congress failed to pass a government spending plan, nearly 1 million Americans were furloughed or went without pay. President Joe Biden wrote on X, formerly Twitter, processing time at the IRS slowed down. Not a problem there.
Take all the time.
Until they just want you back in when they get these W-2s. Military families had less access to critical family support programs, and some federal support for indigenous tribes came grinding to a halt. Now, I'm going to read some more, but let me just say this. I don't know. When it's city council, this is what I mean by the different between city council, your federal government that has the big bucks.
All the purse strings.
Ain't nobody jumping on no buses, and ain't nobody sitting outside of our elected officials' houses on the federal level, and they doing this, they ain't doing this. It's just simpler with the city council. It's simpler to go and say, because some people will blame us for this.
Yes,
when the line at TSA long, what is the city doing? What is Pridgeon doing? What is Brown doing? Folks, you got to understand. We got to. I'm so frustrated. We have to expand our scope.
Yep.
Let me just say this, and I'm rambling, but it's all in my head. We are more concerned about talking about a delicatessen and claiming they get a tax break, which they don't, rather than looking at the large companies that are truly getting tax breaks right here in our city.
Yeah.
Because we know that the council meets on Tuesday, but we don't know when ECIDA meets.
Sure don't.
Erie County, folks, we don't pay any attention.
They don't even go to the legislator meeting on Thursday. The county legislature.
Dang, just come on. God has given us these great minds. He's given us all of these opportunities, and we'll focus and laser focus on a deli. On a deli, man. On a deli. But I promise you, the amount of tax breaks that have legally, and let me say this, legally. been giving, we probably less than 4% of that. Because of the scope, we got to start thinking, acting larger, and then not making it a sin when somebody is doing well in their business.
And I was just going to say, and tax breaks that are state and federal law. It's not
state and federal. Come on to the meeting. So state and federal. So what is agitating to me on this is that the electeds will still get paid.
Yes.
And military families will suffer.
Yep.
What is agitating to me on this is that some of the lowest paid federal workers will be furloughed.
Yep.
That's what's agitating to me.
Yep.
And what's even more agitating as a soon-to-be former elected official is where we put our energy.
Yeah.
We put our energy into local, and maybe that's because that's all we know.
Yep.
But if we don't seek to expand our mind and expand our footprint, these folks, some of these folks in the state and feds, they're like, y'all stay fighting.
Absolutely.
Let me keep you here in this barrel, and you all keep cutting each other head off, because the rest of us over here, because a big portion of the elected officials in D.C. are very wealthy.
Oh, absolutely.
They are very wealthy.
I was getting ready to say, it was a funny tweet. Elon Musk, who of course took over X or Twitter, he tweeted, because he said, Elizabeth Warren is coming after me about my tax breaks, but nobody is saying how she entered a job that only pays $300,000 a year, but is now worth $76 million.
Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for real, because we are missing the mark. We are missing the mark. And folks hope we keep missing it.
Absolutely.
Because as long as we keep missing it, we fight over council seats.
Yep.
And we'll never then make sure that lines are redrawn federally.
Yep.
Ain't nobody, did you notice? Not one group, some groups came to the council, called me all kinds of names, did all that for the local seats. It was like radio silence when it comes to state and federal seats.
The Republicans fought for those.
And we took to Facebook.
Yep.
I don't get it, folks. And the more you try to educate, I'm going to keep on educating. Let me tell you what I'm not going to get. I'm not going to get discouraged in trying to educate our people of why it is we need to be more organized. Now, you can say whatever you want to about RD. It was organized, bro.
Yeah.
Even grassroots. Come on, let's call it what it is.
Absolutely.
There was a time that this community, even then there was infighting, not infighting, but there was fighting across, I'm with Unity, I'm with this, I'm with that. And I always said we probably need to figure this out. And there were times when there were ceasefires.
Right.
And it was like, okay, y'all got these committees.
Yep.
You get these committees. We gonna work over here more on the county side. You work. And that kind of stuff works.
Yeah.
But there was a time when we had strong, and let me just go to it. I'm African American political organizations.
Yes.
Because before there was a Crystal, there was an RD as the deputy speaker.
Yes.
And it was organized and not even grassroots. It goes back further than that.
I'm sure, yeah.
It goes back. Let me tell you how far I remember. It goes back to B.W. Smith. And strong pastors that wasn't so worried about trying to get more members and was concerned about, because they had members.
Absolutely.
St. John was already packed to the gills, so he didn't have to worry about that, right? You had Dr. Andrew Whitted, and they had BAM organization, but people also went to church.
Yes, that's the difference.
And respected the church. So the organization of African Americans, and Doug Ruffin does a great job chronicling this, goes way back to before I was born. The Delmar Mitchells,
yes.
The people, the people of color, George K. There's so many names. They were organized, and they had organized what I call organized chaos.
Yes.
It didn't mean they always had to get along, but there were some conversations across the aisle. And there's some now, once I got on the inside of being able to hear some of the conversations about the past, a lot of the guys who stood up together in the past couldn't stand each other.
No, absolutely.
In private,
Yeah.
they could not stand each other. But what they knew is we got a community out here that has been abandoned, that has been redlined, and we're going to have to work together
Yep.
on the face, and that's okay.
Yes, absolutely.
But we ain't hanging out with each other.
No.
And people would be surprised who did not really groove with each other. It ain't my business to talk about that. We talking about Congress being paid, slow down in the IRS. Will child care or daycare be affected by government shutdown? Says, although K through 12 and higher education policy is largely handled at the state and local level, the impact on families could be significant. Because the question is, next door, CAO.
Yeah.
Could it be affected depending on how long, depending whether they've already got
Right.
their money? I think right now they already got their
yeah, I
money,
think
so
they're
they're
good.
still running.
I thought the bigger issue, and maybe it's in further down in the article, was about Medicare and Medicaid. Was that going to get hampered? Kind of not maybe like the next week. I think it was like in the next couple of weeks if the shutdown continued.
No, this is talking about Head Start.
Oh wow.
One of the programs that would be endangered right away is Head Start, which serves low-income families nationwide. According to the White House, 10,000 children across the country would immediately lose access to it.
Immediately.
As the Department of Health and Human Services would be unable to award federal grants to child care. That's what I'm saying. If you in the funding line and now there's a government shutdown and you don't have some money to keep you open, and it's time for you to get your allotment, shut down. As in past shutdowns, that would force some preschool, school readiness centers to close, according to the center, blah, 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 blah. I won't bore you. The longer it lasts, the worse off those programs would be. The Education Department has yet to update its contingency plan. How would food programs be affected? During a White House briefing Monday, U.S. Department of Agriculture Secretary raised alarm that the real consequences to real people a shutdown could bring. The reality is that when there's a shutdown, we're looking at significant disruption of the lives of millions of Americans. SNAP, y'all know what SNAP, which provides food benefits to millions of low-income families, would continue throughout the month of October. But if the shutdown drags on any longer, SNAP funding would be at risk. Oh, it's a lot of stuff in here. Children relying on supplemental, SNAP, for women this is special supplemental nutrition programs for women, infants, and children, or WIC. That program, would dry up in a matter of days. Come on, folks. Come on. Who's calling Congress?
Yep.
Who's calling your local representative? Now say this. Now, Brian Higgins is definitely not one who wants a government shutdown. And Brian Higgins sleeps in his office, by the way. So he is a blue-collar leader. He is a blue-collar, care about the people. So I want to separate him out of this pack. But is anybody calling to support him?
Right.
Is anybody saying, hey, Brian, what can we do
Absolutely.
on this local level with all of our hollering and all that to bring attention to this across the country? I'll wait. Okay, so WIC could immediately be affected. Folks, I need you to know how real this is. Would Social Security benefits be affected? About 8,500 of Social Security Administration's nearly 62,000 employees would be furloughed in the event of a shutdown. So that means not having as much staff to answer your questions, to help you through processes. And you mentioned something about TSA, because I know people who are flying this week.
Yeah, so I know they were talking about earlier, TSA workers, they are listed as, they're classifying them as essential. So even if they get furloughed, they are still expected to show up for work. So what happened in the last shutdown was TSA workers just decided to call off. And then that's why you end up with long lines at airports.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, you may think, it's nothing. I'm going to travel. You better add an extra 2 hours to your wait
and you
time.
can have it may be longer than that, TSA pre-check and everything
Yep.
else, and it's going to get backed up because when these folks are not getting paid, number one, watch out for the attitudes.
getting ready to
They
say that attitude.
already put your stuff here. Not all of them, not all
Not
of them,
all,
but
not
put
all.
your stuff here. Not Buffalo. I always give Buffalo the props up because I got to go through that airport a lot. But
And they got clear now. Did you see that?
Yeah, I know. Craig was the fourth one to go through clear here in Buffalo.
Oh, wow.
But and I don't know why we got clear in Buffalo. That's a whole nother. I ain't playing. Those of you who don't know what clear is, TSA pre-check is where basically they're checking your background consistently, and you don't have to go through the regular line. You go through another line. You don't have to take off your shoes. You don't have to. And by the way, if you want TSA pre-check, they're moving fast. They're moving fast. My mother applied 2 days ago. She's already got it.
Oh, nice.
Already did the interview and the fingerprints.
Nice.
So but I don't want everybody to get it because y'all gonna make the line.
Make
too
them
long.
line long.
But clear is another thing. So if you get clear, you put your fingerprints on it. You got to pay for it every year, and it's getting more and more expensive. And then they skip the TSA people. It's such a pleasure. Because the TSA people be waiting, and then you do clear and TSA, you skip the TSA. Now, the reason I say I don't know why we got clear here, the traffic in Buffalo Niagara Airport is not Orlando.
Clear worthy.
Yeah, you're just gonna be skipping yourself. They're gonna be like, you got clear, yes. Okay, well, just go ahead.
What was that?
I'm not gonna go through the clear line to get in front of two people. That's embarrassing in front of the TSA line. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Were we flying to DC when it was like my line for regular was just
Yeah.
as long as TSA?
Yeah, and you probably went through, and I'm in TSA pre-check. Like, bye, see you. Because if you travel with me and you don't have TSA pre-check, I'm not waiting for you. No. Meet me at the restaurant because
Hey,
I'm
that's
just
fine.
not waiting. You need to get TSA pre-check. So yeah, sometime that TSA pre-check, because everybody getting it now.
Yeah.
It's starting to
Yeah, when I just was flying back from Cincinnati, it was like that. They had like 14 lines open for regular, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you got pre way down there." And
Yeah.
they were setting them way over there, and I was still like, "Oh, I'm gonna go sit in one of these lines, comfortable."
You went to TSA. You still went to TSA?
No, I went in my regular lines and moved, and the line was moving.
I
this.
don't like to go in the regular line because I don't want to take off my shoes, take off my jacket, take off this.
Yeah,
Take my
But you
heart
know-
monitor out, open up my
the new,
chest.
But the new machines are great. So literally, I just took off the jacket, shoes, it all goes in one bin, and you're just done.
What do you mean?
So
the
that-
new screening machine.
The new screening machine is great. So
But it's, and I'm going back to the government shutdown. And then remind me before we get off the air to tell you about Buffalo News. I don't know if you heard the latest about Buffalo News.
let me make a note.
So so now the new machines at Buffalo, your stuff goes through, and then like you can see them looking at your stuff.
Yeah.
And then if the wheels turn to the left that means you getting searched.
You're getting
So I'm
searched.
standing there all the time, like in my head. Do I have any water in there? Did I leave anything? Oh Lord, could you just give me, like, dude? You don't run drugs. You don't. What are you freaking out
But
about?
it is a paranoia when your bag goes to the, and then they go to zip, and you're like, oh, what is?
Yeah,
what
because
did
then you're
see?
thinking like, what did I leave in here from the last trip that is going to be very embarrassing if you pull this out, sir?
Yeah, it is the word. It is a terrible feeling.
Will post offices be closed? And the answer to that is no. And a lot of people don't realize that really the post office gets a subsidy from the government, but we're not it's not really a part of the federal government anymore. So you'll still get your mail, but the reason I wanted to talk about Buffalo News is because there's about to be a big change in the Buffalo News, and I don't doubt that there's going to be a change soon with mail. So we'll come back to that in a few minutes. How will housing programs and emergencies be handled during the storm? While many federal programs such as homeless assistance grants and housing for veterans and those with disabilities will continue through a shutdown, most Department of Housing HUD staff will not be in the office as long as there will be an extremely limited number. So it's going to affect a lot of people.
Yeah.
Directly and indirectly. Okay, here it is. How will government shutdown affect travel? A government shutdown wouldn't necessarily be detrimental to your travel plans, but air traffic controllers and TSA agents would have to work without pay.
Yep.
Let me tell you this.
Sick time.
I ain't feeling good today.
Yeah.
Some people. I'm not saying I would,
Yeah.
but I'm saying,
That's
and I
what
would
happened.
have an attitude.
And that's what happened.
Can you imagine being a TSA agent and a member of Congress come through your line? Oh, bruh, you getting paid and I'm not. I'm patting you.
I was getting ready. Automatic search.
Bruh, it's automatic. What time is your flight? It's at 2 and it's noon now. Oh, sir.
Do not let me see that
Sir.
pin sitting up on the lapel. Oh,
That's
yeah, we going.
crazy. They got to work without pay.
Yeah, we going to war.
The White House has suggested this would lead to longer wait times, of course, and significant delays across the country.
Yep.
And I don't know if I want did it say air traffic
Yes.
controller? I don't know if I want an air traffic controller with an attitude. There are some jobs
Yeah.
that I think you got to say, even in a government shutdown,
You got to pay them.
because TSA is about our safety.
Yeah.
TSA, I mean, not TSA, the air traffic controllers is about air safety.
Yeah.
And the one thing you should not do is shut down that traveling public who some of them still got to get to work. They don't work for the government.
Yeah, can you imagine the guy in the tower just up there like, yeah, you can land if you want to.
You can land, but shoot, if you don't feel like it, just circle around 3 times.
I
That's
wouldn't land here if you don't have to.
If I was you, I wouldn't be landing here, bruh. I wouldn't be landing because I'm in here by myself. I can't remember what I just told that other plane. So, and I ain't been paid. I ain't been paid.
Oh, that's a bad movie.
It is a bad movie. And I mean, you know, we sometimes you just got to laugh. I really wanted you all to know how this could affect. So big news, according to what I read, it wasn't in the Buffalo News. Buffalo News is going to stop Saturday edition.
Huh?
Yes. Oh, here it is. I didn't say it. WGRZ said it. Buffalo News to stop printing locally Saturday and lay off 160 employees. Yeah, you heard it here.
Wow.
So if you get the Buffalo News on Saturday, so I don't know if that means where they're going to have the digital online.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, Buffalo News. So the reason I brought that up, that it came to mind, is I think sooner or later, because the post office is, because people don't write letters anymore. So, and bills now are being sent electronically and paid electronically. So the most you get in the mail is what they advertise in mail. So I don't see the post office being able to survive on advertising mail forever.
No.
And I can see the post office moving to say there will be no weekend delivery, except like packages and things that you
I can
pay.
see that. I can see that.
Other than that, I think you're going to
can.
see within the next 5 years no Saturday, if it makes it that long. And that's from a post office professional who worked in the post office.
I can definitely see that because I think, and I remember the day when UPS didn't deliver on Saturday unless you paid extra for Saturday delivery. So I can totally see the post office going to that. Do you ever think it would be bad to where they do routes only like 2 or 3 times a week?
I don't foresee it in the very near future, but they are moving to things like when new apartment buildings and stuff are made, really pushing cluster boxes,
Yeah.
so that a mail carrier doesn't have to go from
just
each
go
apartment.
into the room.
It's just they go right out to the front of an apartment building, they toss the mail in those,
Yep.
and move on to the next one.
That's what my building has.
Is that what it is?
A mail
Cluster
room.
box.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, I think that eventually it will be. I think down the line, maybe 10 years, you might get 3 days of delivery. But I think right now, because you're going to have less and less mail.
Right.
Where does our mail come to? Where does our advertising mail come to? It comes to our cell phone. It comes to
Yep.
our emails. It comes to when we're watching something and it's targeted.
Yep.
It's less expensive. And as the generations move on who are not doing computers, these advertisers are not going to be spending money to send you a coupon in the mail when they can send it to your phone.
Absolutely.
So, Hobson's, the Dr. Dry Cleaner, 874 East Delavan. That's 874 East Delavan. They pay the bills here. And Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, 347 Peckham, 2528 Bailey, and 1275 Sycamore. In your hour of need, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home. When your clothes are dirty, Hobson's the Dr. Dry Cleaning. I'm throwing it back over to the station so that they can really play the commercial for real. Until next week, power to the people.